Hi guys, hope you are doing well. Today I'm gonna to talk about and try to represent you uh, up to surface actually extrusion process. Sometimes the surface which we are gonna to create is very complicated. That's why it will be very difficult to actually to guess which direction and how much we have to extrude or cut extrude the plane. That's why I'm gonna represent you three or two model here in this subsection of today's lecture, and it will be a little bit confusing, but I hope you will enjoy this video. Okay, now I'm gonna to I will try to share the page which I'm using for developing these parts, but in the page we have 12 parts. Not all of them is difficult. Only two of them is difficult for you. That's why I'm gonna focus on these two or maybe three, and I will try to develop these models. And there is not exact direct dimension for these parts in this page, uh, but every unit I'm gonna to use 5 mm, consider as 5 mm. Okay, so let me start my work. Firstly, I'm gonna to develop a very simple part for you. Then I will try to actually make it a little bit complicated. Okay, select top and normal to. Now sketch, use corner rectangle and develop a sketch here. Okay, this is the rectangle, smart dimension. Here is how much do we have? 30. This one is 30. Yeah, sorry. That one is 30, and here is 30. We have 30 by 30 rectangle. Right. It will be black, definitely. Now I'm gonna do extrude this part, feature, extrude the part by 30. Okay, hopefully. Now here I'm gonna to use 30 millimeters and extrude the part. Now isometric. Now I'm gonna to use to work on this plane normal to sketch line. I will use line to draw this sketch from here to here, and definitely, as you know, in a sketch the color of the line should be black. That's why black and should be closed. That's why I'm gonna to close this sketch using smart dimension. Give a distance from this point to this line as 10. Okay, and from here to here as given on the paper as 5. So we have these triangle. Now it's time to say isometric, and now let's say cut extrude this triangle. How much is it? It is 20 millimeter. Okay, so we will cut extrude this part. If you have a look to the paper for this part here, maybe we can consider as number 4 in the paper. Okay, let me finalize this. Okay, the finding dimension for the next part is possible from two views. One possibility is drawing the a sketch here. Another is possible to work on this plane, for example, top plane. Okay, but if you consider to work on this, to draw your sketch on this plane, the dimensions which is given on the paper is not exact. That's why I'm not going to continue to work on this plane. I will work on top, normal too, and I will try to, you have to use the same approach in all of the parts. I will try to draw a rectangle here, and this one is 10. and here is 10 millimeters. It's the exact dimension given on the paper. That's why we must use these dimensions here. Okay, now we have a rectangle, it's black, it's time to say cut extrude and true all. But as I said, we have to reverse direction and you have to say true all and confirm. As I said, it's possible to develop this feature from using this plane, but this height, which I'm gonna to measure, use evaluate to measure this dimension, escape, measure this one, okay. This line is 70.5, but from the paper, it's not possible to find this dimension. That's why we tried to work on top plane. This is the number, but this one is given on the paper as 5 millimeters, okay? But as I said, this height is not clear on the paper. That's why we have to select the top plane to develop this part, okay? This is a little bit simple part for you, I know, but I just try to develop this part because this part is actually have a hint and you have to work on the top. Now I'm gonna to start a new plane, new part, and will continue my job with a little bit complicated part, okay? Now, again, I'm gonna to work on top. Next part, it is number 5 in the paper, and I'm gonna to start from origin point and develop a rectangle as 30 by 30. Okay, is that maybe if you have a look to this signs, it means that I made a mistake here. Maybe I tried to make a 3D sketch, but at the moment we can continue. Extrude, and how much I'm gonna to extrude? It is 30 millimeter. Right. In this object, in this part, we have some planes, which is a little bit difficult to understand these planes. Now, I'm gonna to actually start to work with the simplest one as much as possible. This is the approach which we have to use, okay? Now, the simplest plane here is a plane which we can define 3 important points of this plane, okay? Now, I'm gonna to say that, okay? I'm gonna to work on this plane, normal 2, and use line to develop a line from here, is coming from here up to here, okay? And then I will make my sketch closed, okay? Now, if you check the paper, this dimension from here to here is clearly given as 10. It's 2 units, every unit is 5, that's why that one is 10. Now, your sketch will be black, that means we can continue. Okay, now I have a rectangle here. I'm gonna to use this rectangle to cut extrude, but cut extrude how much? If you have a look to the paper, from this side it comes up to midpoint, and from here it comes up to midpoint. That's why this cut extrusion is not a difficult job. That's why I'm gonna to cut extrude this one as 15. Cut extrude. Here it's 15, okay, 1.5. So it's coming up to mid of this line and the mid of this line. That's why this one is 15. Exactly, we can guess this dimension. Now I'm gonna to confirm this part. All right. Now let's continue here. We have a complicated plane here, but the plane which here we have 2 approach for cutting this corner. I'm going to show you the first one and the simplest one actually. Now try to find the 3 points in this plane. One point, if you check on the paper, one point is this point. So this point clearly is a part of this plane. And another point here is this point. Okay, this point and this point, this is two. One more, I need one more. The third one is here. That's why I am going to develop a sketch from here, this point to here. No, sorry. From here, I'm gonna to firstly, I have to define the plane. Sorry. Let me close this sketch. Okay. I have a plane passing through these 3 points. Now I have to define this plane. How it is possible to define the plane? Planes is on features. That's why I'm going to feature, reference geometry, and plane. Okay, for defining a plane, I need 3 points. Still my SolidWorks needs a few minutes, few seconds. Okay, now I need 3 points. One point is this point. You have to select, clearly given on the paper. Another point is here, second point. And if I select this point, I will define the plane who pass through these points. Now look here, I have a plane passing through these points. I need this plane because I will cut extrude this plane. Okay, so here we should define this plane up to here and confirm. Okay, now plane 1 is passing through point 1, point 2, and point 3. Now I wanted to cut these part of these objects. How it is possible? We have two choices. One possibility is developing a rectangle passing through these 3 points. Another is developing a rectangle passing through these 3 points. Now, let me try to work on this plane. Now, I have to confirm my plane. It's already confirmed. Now, I'm gonna to work on this plane. Normal to, and this time, I'm gonna to use line, and the line will be passed through, the rectangle will be created through these 3 points. Now, have a look how my triangle is look like. Okay, I have a triangle here from this point to here, and here. Okay, now I have this sketch, and already I defined the plane. I'm gonna to use cut extrusion to cut extrude this part. How it is possible? Very simply, we have to go to cut extrusion. But in cut extrusion, instead of plane, we have to select up to surface. Okay. Now, when you select up to surface, you have to come to the drawing environment, or you can come to tree and select the plane. I'm gonna to try on the drawing environment, select the plane. When you select the plane, this plane will be represented here, and this part will be represented as the side of the parts which gonna to be cut extruded. I'm gonna to confirm it, and now look how my part is look like. Let me hide my plane here. Let me hide it. Now I have this part. This plane is developed, and then we use the triangle to cut extrude this part. Okay, now it is clearly we develop this part. Now I'm going to continue my work here, but if you check the paper, in the paper we have a feature here, but the dimensions of the features is not clearly given. Okay, that's why we have to be very careful on selection of the plane. I'm going to rotate the part, select here, normal to. I'm going to develop a rectangle here, passing from here to here. Okay. Now, let me say this distance is given on the paper as 5. And here is represented by 1 unit. It means that it is 5. Okay. Now, here, this height is 2 units on the paper. It is 10. Now, have a look how my sketch is look like. It's on bottom of my part, okay? And I have this sketch. Now, I'm gonna to use feature cut extrude, and I should select as true all and confirm. Now, this part of this feature is completed. Now, similarly, we should try to work on this plane, normal 2. Here, I'm gonna to use a rectangle. This rectangle, the distance from here to here is 1 unit, 5 millimeters. And from here to here, it's 3 units, it's 15. And here is 5. Now, have a look how my sketches look like. Okay, I have a sketch here at the back of my part. Now, I'm going to use again cut extrusion and use true all and confirm. Now, although this part is look like very simple, but this part is not a simple part actually. As you here, we had a very complicated surface, and we tried to develop this surface. Now, let's continue my work with my other part. I'm gonna to develop number 6 on the paper, which is a little bit more complicated in compared to number 5. Again, I am gonna to use a rectangle on the top, and it will be corner rectangle 30 by 30. It's 30 by 30. Now, feature, we should extrude it as blind 30. Now, I'm gonna to work and develop my planes here. Firstly, I will start with the simplest one, okay? The simplest one here is the one who simply we can define the plane, okay? Now, if you have a look to the paper, okay, we have to use triangle to cut this part, okay? But if when I'm looking to this plane, 3 points of this plane is clearly given on the paper actually. But that's why I'm gonna to start on this plane, normal 2. One of the points in this, let me draw this rectangle. This is the rectangle which I'm looking for, okay? Now, what I'm looking for this one. Now, this point, is that clear? No. Now, that one is not clear. Let me cancel this rectangle and try to develop the points. When the part is a little bit complicated, this approach will be more applicable. I'm going to use point, okay? Point is in the sketch, is a sketch actually. Now, I'm going to work on this plane. Okay, a sketch point. Firstly, I'm going to put my point here, okay? A point is here, okay? Not 2, 1 point. This is the point which I developed, Another point which clearly exists on the part is here. Look here. Another point is here. Now, as you can see here, this plane, this sketch is blue. It means that it needs dimension. The dimension of this point is given on the paper as here is 5, and let me see it on the uh, on a normal way. That one is 5. So the distance of this point from here and to here is 5. Okay, let's confirm this sketch and then return back to previous sketch. Look here, right click, edit sketch. It is blue because we didn't give dimension for this sketch. Here, this distance from here to here, it's 5 on the paper. Okay, and from here to here, it is 10. All right. Now, let me confirm this sketch and let's see the actually the perspective of the part. As you can see here, we already defined 2 points in the part. Okay, now the 2 points is important for us because we are gonna to define a plane who pass through these points 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now let me define these planes. We have to go to features and we have to say reference geometry. What happened? Okay, reference geometry and plane. Now the plane which I'm looking for is passing through point 1, point 2, and point 3. This is the plane which I'm looking for. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to define the rectangle. How we can define the rectangle? This is the plane 1. Another plane which I'm looking for here is, if I, right? Okay. Now, let me say, select this point, normal to, and now use sketch from, now we have to confirm this. Okay, select here. You have to select here. Wow. All right, you have to select here. What happened? Warning, your system is running. I have problem in my memory. Okay, unfortunately. Normal too. Right. The sketch which I'm looking for is passing through these 3 points. Point 1, point 2, point 3, and point 4. I made this rectangle. Now, okay, I have this is the rectangle. Now, confirm. Now it's time to say that, okay, feature cut extrude. Up to surface, which surface? This surface. As you can see here, we are able to develop this feature here in the part. Okay, now we already defined the part. Now I am gonna to work on this plane. I'm gonna to hide this plane. Look. Now 3 more points, 2 more points, 1 more points I need here. I'm going to back to sketch and select this, and here make a rectangle, make a point. Now this point should be on line. All right, be careful, the point is in line. This one I don't need, and I have to make dimension for this point. This one in the paper is given as 5. Okay, now confirm isometric. Now the points which I'm looking for is here, these 3 points. Now I'm gonna to go to feature, define a new plane passing through these 3 points, right? Okay. Now confirm your plane, and this time work on this plane normal to and make a rectangle from here to here. Okay, look how my rectangle is look like. It look like this. Okay, now I am able to say that cut extrude this part, all right, up to surface. With surface I have to select plane 2. Now I will be sure that let me hide my plane. I will be sure that the plane is passing through these 3 points. Also, this part is a little bit complicated and actually it is a little bit confusing, but we are able to develop this slope. Now I'm gonna to back to this part, select this part here, and let's say sketch, make a rectangle here. Distance between this point and this point is 5. Here is 10. I have problem with my memory. I'm sorry for this. Right, 10. And here to here is again, it's 2 units, it's 10. All right. Now, look how my sketches look like. Now I'm going to say that cut extrude feature, cut extrude, true all, and confirm. Okay. We already developed this part. Now I'm going to again make a plane. Passing through these 3 points, 1, 2, and third point. Now I have this plane. Confirm. All right. As you can see, we can work on this rectangle, or this rectangle. This one is not logical because this plane is not perpendicular. That's why we are able to make this triangle or this triangle. I'm gonna to work on this plane, normal to. I will develop my rectangle from this point to this point to here, and I'm gonna to make it closed. It should be black. Now look, I have this triangle, and I'm gonna to use cut extrude up to surface. With surface, the latest surface or latest plane which we developed, this one, right? We are able to cut this part. Now if I hide my plane, this is number 6 on your paper. It's a little bit confusing part and complicated part. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna to give this paper, share this paper with you. We have 9 already, 6, 12 parts in this paper, but as I said, only 3 of these parts is a little bit difficult, which I tried to show you the technique, but it's your responsibilities to develop all of the parts and as a homework. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep safe, and we will keep contact. Thank you.